So next we have Jose, also from CRG, who's going to talk about BovReg's contribution to the adoption of NF Core and the EuroFAANG computational standard.
Okay, so hi everyone. My name is Jose Espinosa Carrasco. I work in the CRG group, and as already Björn introduced, I have been co-leading Work Package 3 and mostly working in task 3.2. And today I will discuss about the BovReg contribution to the adoption of NF Core as the EuroFAANG computational standard. So when the BovReg project started, we sought to develop a collection of reference pipelines that will become a long-lasting resource for the animal genomics communities and even beyond it. And if you think about it, this is sometimes not so easy because even if groups like Peter's group are working on this and helping us to do that, sometimes we don't have even the funding to really develop pipelines that follow best computational practices. And also, in the case that your group are well-funded and you can do this, once this pipeline is developed and it's released, you don't have the funding to properly maintain it. So some of the pipelines and the methods just got abandoned. So we were wondering at that stage how BovReg pipelines could become a resource for the community, as I already said. And as Peter nicely already introduced, there are these FAIR principles for research that have been established first for data. So it's this findability, accessibility, interoperability, and reusability. And these principles have now also been extended to the software. So this means that if we want to make our pipelines a resource for the community, we should follow a set of best practices and follow these FAIR principles. And it came out in this kickoff meeting that took place in Houston just before the COVID outbreak, that the other groups of EuroFAANG that were already settled at that point have the same, like they have think about the same. And at that point, we were actually suggesting that Nextflow and NF Core could be the solution to develop our pipelines, sticking to these best practices. But at that point, there are some groups that were also suggesting other workflow managers and other standards. And with the time, we started this EuroFAANG Pipelines Working Group, also with the help of Peter, in which we were discussing among the different developers of the different projects about the issues, the common issues that we have when developing pipelines, and also how we can find common solutions. And along the time, it has become clear that actually Nextflow and NF Core were a good solution for doing this. So why Nextflow? It's a convenient workflow manager to develop FAIR pipelines. So here I'm just mentioning some of the features that gives this ability to Nextflow. I won't enter too much into the details, so if you want to discuss something more in depth, just approach me after the presentation. But one of the things, for instance, is that Nextflow can be adopted gradually. This is because it's polyglot, that it's said here. This means that if you have already a script code, in any Unix-based language, you can integrate it in your workflow, like in Bash, Python, R, Perl, or whatever. Then another feature that Nextflow provides is that you can sandbox the dependencies, so your software tools versions and their dependencies into containers using Docker or Singularity, or using software managed systems like Conda. This is important because this way you guarantee that the versions of your software and the libraries that you are using are always the same, and this way the results of the pipeline become reproducible. Then Nextflow uses this data flow programming paradigm, that what this means in short is that shaping in the correct way your input data and also the data between the processes of your workflow, of your pipeline, provides the ability to Nextflow to seamlessly parallelize the execution of the pipeline. Also about findability, the native way of working in Nextflow, it's using this kind of version control systems like GitHub, GitLab, and so on. So this makes your code available for the community. And another characteristic of Nextflow is that it supports multiple platforms. This means that your code is portable between different computational environments. And this is so because Nextflow separates the logic of your pipeline from the configuration of your pipeline. This means that just by changing the configuration of your pipeline, you can run exactly the same pipeline in different cloud providers, HPC systems, or even in local. OK, but maybe you are wondering, could not we just use other workflow managers? Is that they don't have such features? And the answer is yes. So here you have this paper where in the columns you have several features of workflow managers, and in the rows you have several workflow managers. In red you have Nextflow. When you have 3 dots in black, it means that you have the highest rate for this feature. And actually you see that Nextflow it's quite good in most of the features, but you have comparable workflow managers such as SnakeMake that could have been used. So then the next question is, what makes Nextflow different? And we think that what makes Nextflow a special workflow manager system is NF Core. And what's NF Core? So NF Core, it's a collection of Nextflow pipelines that are developed following best computational practices, that is to say being fair. And in this way, it has become a standard for Nextflow coding. And in the community has also provided helper tools either to run these pipelines or to develop these pipelines. And what you see here, the last one, I think it's the most important one. That's why you have this thing popping up. It's a community. And why this is important? So this is important because the community is the one that is driving the evolution of both the language, Nextflow, and the standard. It means that whenever a new issue arises in the community, we push to fix this feature either in the Nextflow side or in the NF Core side. And actually, you can see here some figures from the NF Core community. So we have reached recently, like 2 weeks ago, 8,000 members in Slack. Slack is the main communication channel and help channel from NF Core. Also, you can see here the number of GitHub organization members and the GitHub contributions, and finally the Twitter followers. And the 2 plots below show that this increase in Slack members and in GitHub members has been growing along the year, so it's sustainable. So one of these examples of a feature that was pushed by the community and that we have long asked for is that Nextflow at the beginning was not modular. This means that you cannot reuse the code between your pipelines. And it turns out that in 2020, DSL2 was officially released. And what is DSL2? So DSL2 is the syntax, the Nextflow syntax that allows to code modular pipelines, meaning that now the components of your pipelines become shareable between projects and pipelines. So NF Core pipelines started a process of reimplementation to follow DSL2, and this was very well aligned when the project started. And this gives us the opportunity of implement some tools as modules, also some workflows that we need for our needs in the project. Actually, now there are already 1,000 modules and 50 sub-workflows in the code base that are available under this GitHub repository. An example of contribution from BovReg to the NF Core community is the NF Core attack seek pipeline. This pipeline was an already existing pipeline, and with the help of Bjorn, we have been working on it for using it in BovReg. The first thing that we have done is to port this pipeline to DSL2. So this, for instance, it was including several aligners that were before not available in the pipeline. So like Chroma, for instance, that it's quite well suited for peak calling. And then in a second release, Gabriel has reported us that he has seen that peak calling was better when genomic background control data was provided to in this case, yes, to MAX2. So what we did is that we include this in the pipeline, and now it's available for everyone. And in this process, we became also the main maintainers of the pipeline. And this is important, this thing of the maintenance, because NF Core pipelines are maintained. It means that they will last for the community, available and working and being improved. So here in this plot, what I'm showing is the adoption of Nexo and NF Core within the EuroFAANG community. So in the left, you have each of the projects. So if we took, for instance, EuroFAANG, you can see that they have been working in several species. In our case, we are only working in cow. Then in the middle, you have the different pipelines to perform different analyses. And on the right, you have the standards that these pipelines are following. And you see that most of them are either in the NF Core code base or following the NF Core standard, or in other cases, they are only being an Nexo pipeline. But as I didn't mention this, but another nice thing of NF Core is that you can gradually port your pipelines to NF Core. It is not a thing that has to be done in just one moment. So this allows groups to gradually port in their pipelines to NF Core. And with some time perspective, we can wonder whether this was a correct decision. And in this plot, what I'm showing is the number of publications citing different workflow managers. So in blue, you have Galaxy. We were quite carefully, and we took all the Galaxy papers that are normally each 2 years they publish and update. Then you have the same for Nexo, which mainly is the Nexo and the NF Core paper in green, and for SnakeMake with also several papers. And what is quite interesting is that the number of citations during the last year of script-based workflow managers, such as SnakeMake and Nexo, has overtaken the number of citations of Galaxy. And not only this, but just Nexo alone, it's overtaking Galaxy. So it means that it's not something that we just have done alone, but it's something that also the community is embracing. And maybe you are wondering now about reproducibility. So this paper was published recently, and they are comparing the NF Core, that you already know what it is, with this SnakeMake workflow collection, which is something similar to NF Core, but they don't have so strict guidelines, so to say. And one thing that it's striking is that the percentage of workflow that have at least one not crashing revision, in the case of NF Core, it's 88%. So this means that actually this aim of being sustainable a long time is achieved in the NF Core community, because most of the pipelines continue to work along the years. Actually, we have a paper in the works because we think this was a nice story that could be illustrative for other communities that are sharing similar problems when they are starting. And this is the title of the paper. But I would say that the take-home message of this paper, paraphrasing this African proverb, is that if you want to code fast, you code alone. But if you really want to code durable, code in community. And yes, another thing that it's quite interesting. So last week, we had the NF Core team retreat in Sweden, and we were discussing about these NF Core special interest groups. And this is nothing else that what we have done in BovReg and in EuroFAANG, having this crowd of people that is working in the same field and that they are using the same pipelines and also share the same issues. So we discuss it together, and we have very nice outcomes. So the idea is to implement this in NF Core. So one of the first interest groups, special interest group, will be the one working in animal genomics, and this will be extended to other communities. And then just where to find BovReg pipelines. So we have them in the GitHub repository and also in the data portal, as Peter already mentioned. And here I just want to finish acknowledging all the people that has been involved. Of course, my lab, me and my PI, Cédric Notre Dame, people of Work Package 3, especially Peter, and all the people involved in the EuroFAANG Pipelines Working Group and the NF Core team and the communities. So thank you very much.
Time for one very quick question.
I'm Prime from FPN. Hi, Jose, nice presentation. I just have one question, like if a pipeline is standardized as NF Core, if there are any important updates for this pipeline, how it is managed?
So the pipelines are continuously maintained by the community. It means that, yeah, I mean, we keep adding features to the pipelines in the template, which is like the standard for the pipelines, but also the community keeps adding features and tooling that it's needed. So that's why it's interesting to be in NF Core as a pipeline, because now we are maintaining ATAC-seq, but in the future, if we cannot still maintain it, in principle, someone else should take over and keep maintaining the pipeline.
But if we cite a paper based on one NF Core pipeline, if it is updated in the future, so we have to also mention the version of the NF Core plus version, right?
So I didn't mention this, but if I got the question correctly, so we make like releases of the pipeline,
okay,
and then they got a DOI, and in principle they should keep working, provided that they use the next version at that moment, because sometimes with time they cannot be run using a new next version, but they will keep working with the previous version. So in principle, you will be able to refer to the version of the pipeline that have been used to generate the data. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Jose. I think we've probably got to move on, haven't we, Krista? Hold it for the break.
Okay. In your talk, you mentioned Galaxy, and here you mentioned Nextflow. So where do we go? And I understood that EuroFAANG will use Galaxy and not Nextflow.
No, so EuroFAANG as a group is generally promoting the Nextflow and NF Core pipelines. Elixir, the EuroFAANG research infrastructure will work closely with Elixir as well. Elixir supports a range of different platforms, including Galaxy is one of the big ones that they have supported. But what we are seeing is that as with everything, the community continues to evolve. So I think, although a lot of the community is still using Galaxy as a platform, that many people are switching to SnakeMake and Nextflow and so on. But I think within EuroFAANG, we've got such a group of people that put together such a strong set of pipelines for doing G2P research that I think this is for any new project, I would recommend that as the starting point. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.